We are honored to have with us today Shri Arun Baroka, Secretary Chemicals and Petrochemicals, Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers, Government of India. Shri Arun Baroka holds an electrical engineering degree from IIT Delhi and master's degree from I.A.S, Kolkata. Prior to his appointment as Secretary Chemicals and Petrochemicals, Shri Baroka served as Special Secretary, Department of Drinking Water and Sanitization, Ministry of Jal Shakti. Shri Baroka has held many senior positions in Pondicherry, Arunachal Pradesh and Andaman and Nicobar. He also served in senior positions in Delhi at NDMC, Sales Tax Department and MCD. I request Shri Arun Baroka to address the audience, please.
Thanks, brother, for introducing me here. Friends, sitting on the dais, the president of ICC, Bimal Gokaldas ji, and his full team who is organizing this 16th Outlook conference. Other dignitaries on the dais, Shri Eric, Shri Nikhil, Chris, and Rajan Mariwala ji, and also Mr. Soti, and my colleague friends from Government of India, Dr. Shrikar and Shri Purohit ji, and I suppose I have not missed out anyone. So the dignitaries present on the other side, the captains of the industry, ladies and gentlemen. Friends, I have been given a topic on policy enablers to propel growth. So I'll try to restrict myself to that topic because the subject matters which fall under this sector are so many that I'll not be able to cover them all. For that reason, I would like to restrict myself to this area only. My task has become little simpler because the speakers before me have given very good idea of the chemical and petrochemical sector as such, and mentioned about the tremendous potential lying in this sector, particularly in the chemical sector. Now, when we talk about chemicals and petrochemicals put together, which our department is mandated, and generally in India we call it chemicals and petrochemicals. I think worldwide it is said chemicals. So if we put it together, we are net importers. So, but when we go into the segregation in chemical sector, we find that in many of the sub-segments, we are net exporter. So this is the kind of advantage we are having in the chemical sector, particularly the group which is present here today. And they have been doing a tremendous job. The kind of growth which is seen in this sector is much more than the GDP growth. And it has been mentioned time and again that we will be growing at the rate of, this sector will be growing at the rate of almost around GDP, but I am quite confident that will be maybe 1.5 to 2. So I think this is the kind of potential which we are having, and the growth enablers everyone knows. I'll not go into the details of that, but what are the favorable factors which we are having in India, particularly with respect to the kind of the government support which we are providing, how we are providing that we should be knowing. I was very happy that no one raised anything. Most of the private sector industry friends, they didn't raise any demand from the government. So I presume that things are okay. And particularly when we talk, when we say that it is a totally deregulated sector, there is no licensing requirement, then what is the requirement? Why government's role is there? There should be some role, and the example of that, our friends from Ministry of Commerce, he is in very detail, he has mentioned here. We have to provide enabling environment. I think that should be the role of the government when we are not giving any kind of incentive or subsidy or anything else. But what is that enabling environment? This is one example. What are the other examples? We started long back in the form of the PCPIRs, and we have a mixed kind of a response on that, and we find that some of them are doing very good. It is again dependent on the culture in the states. Western side it is doing so well, in some other places it is not doing so well. Now, when we did the evaluation of the PCPIRs, we found that they are so big that sometimes it becomes very difficult to manage them. And the evaluation report has indicated that we must bring down the size, and we must bring it down to the level which can be managed easily. And the second feedback which we have got is that it should be managed or led by the private sector itself. So with these kind of inputs, we are thinking to have smaller kind of area which can be considered as a chemical park or something like that. So this will be managed by or led by the private sector. Government will be a partner in that in the form of the equity. And land will have to be identified by the state government. We are in touch with some of the state governments. We had done initial consultations. We got a very positive response from them. So when we talk about provision of land or area which is having facilities for the chemical sector, what kind of facilities should be there? That also we found out from the industry. Everyone said that some of the common infrastructural requirements should be there, should be provided by those chemical parks. We find that in the existing estates or the PCPIR regions, the main concern has been cutting the plots and providing the roads. We have also tried to provide the water facility, the electricity, etc. But some of the infrastructural requirements which are common to the industry, they have not been provided there, particularly with respect to the anchor tenant, a provision of the feedstock which should be there, some of the raw materials which should be readily available, and some of the common things, facilities which should be provided there, they are not available in these PCPIRs. So we are thinking that the organization or the proponent will provide those common infrastructural facilities in these chemical parks. This is one thinking which has been going on. Another thing which our friends have been asking time and again, I'll clarify right here itself, that even though we have not provided performance-linked incentives in this sector as such, but overall in the government, we have provided almost in the 14 PLI scheme, various kind of incentives we have provided. Why we have done so? I think everyone knows about the logic. We wanted to bring about dominance in those sectors. We needed to ensure that we are not critically dependent on someone else for those chemicals. And for that reason, we decided that we will have a PLI scheme for chemical sector also, and particularly for the specialty chemicals for which we have been importing in a big way. And friends, the consultation, internal consultation is going on. I think you don't be disheartened. I think many friends have been asking why it is delayed. It is being delayed for the reason that we want to make sure that it is a foolproof mechanism of providing incentive to the industry and to those chemicals which are really, really very essential. And for that reason, internal consultations are going on. We are in touch with our expert colleagues also. I will be having another discussion today with our friend from ICT also. Don't be disheartened on this aspect of the government support. Now coming to the other initiative which is very important for us, which is relating to sustainability. I think all the efforts what the industry is taking on their own, I'll not supplement on that. But what is the role of the government? I think government is a regulator, and Ministry of Environment and Forest, Climate Change, they are the key person, the key organization controlling this sector, and they have provided certain regulations, certain conditions which have to be fulfilled. Earlier, the kind of regulations which are there right now, they were not there. So some people are not used to them, particularly the new regulations with respect to the EPR requirements. So there is a issue of transition. There are some teething problems are there. So we are in touch with the Ministry of Environment. I think jointly with the industry, we have been taking it up with the Ministry of Environment that when we are moving towards a new regime, we should provide some facilitation to them to ensure that it is a smooth transition. And wherever it is possible, we should relax or maybe postpone for some time so that they are able to transition to the new regime without any issues. Now, there are other issues related to environmental clearance. Those issues are long-term issues, and some of them are related to the deep sea discharge, and so those issues have also been taken up separately. The point which I want to make here is that, as mentioned by our friend from Department of Commerce, it's a whole of government approach. All the departments which are relevant and important for the industry, particularly Ministry of Environment, the Department of Agriculture, and few other departments which play key role, particularly Department of Consumer Affairs, which has a role with respect to the standards, quality control orders, I.A.S standards, etc. We are working together to ensure that we have a positive kind of an environment for the industry, that wherein you can grow very seamlessly without any issues, and you can take the advantage of the potential which is available with us. Now, the other issue which we have been getting from the industry is about the perception management. I think the image of the industry. Chemical, whenever we talk about chemical, it is seen as something bad. So, as we were discussing yesterday, chemical is a problem, and chemical can provide the solution also. I think we need to remember this, that solutions will come from within the chemical industry. And I'm quite confident the way the chemical industry is working, we'll be able to get solutions wherever they are still not there. But how do you manage the perception? A lot of good work has happened in the industry, and probably that has not been conveyed to the masses or to the general public or to the policy makers or the decision makers or the political representatives. So you get a different kind of a perception about the chemical industry. Now, wherever chemical industry is in abundance, so what happens there? Because of one black sheep, the name of the whole industry gets a bad name for the whole industry. So for this reason, we need to ensure that we build a positive, a good image about the chemical industry. And one specific thing which we had, which we were discussing internally yesterday with select group of people, we need to project the good case studies which have happened, the examples, particularly with respect to the tanneries or the industrial areas where things have happened in a positive manner. We need to project them, and maybe there could be something else also we can find out by having the internal discussion. Now, another initiative which ICC themselves have taken care of, spearheading the responsible care program. That's a very good effort. I fully support that. I think just to ensure that there is no black sheep, we should be almost making it mandatory for everyone to have a responsible care program. And friends, this cannot happen with any law, regulation, etc. This has to be a self-discipline. Government doesn't want to bring in any law with respect to that. So when we are sitting here, I think we can, at least the people who are present here, they can ensure and assure ourselves that we'll make sure that we are part of the responsible care program. Environment, again and again, will remain a matter of concern. So with respect to regulation, we have to be really very careful right from the beginning when we are setting up of the industry that we don't violate any of the regulations. But wherever any improvements are required in the environmental laws, let me assure you that we will be the first person who will be taking it up with the government. After all, the department role for promotion of chemical and petrochemical is to ensure that we work in close collaboration with you as well as with the government departments, which are many a times a regulator. Particularly when I talk about regulation, so I shouldn't be missing out on the agrochemicals, which is again a very important sector, and for which we have been having joint consultations with the Ministry of Agriculture. Some of the issues we have been able to resolve, but many of the issues are still there. We need to resolve them. But there also some of the self-discipline which the industry has to ensure. I urge here in this gathering that we should be ensuring that. But wherever you find that there are some problem, some pain points, we are willing to resolve them at the earliest. I think some of the myths which are associated with, particularly with the agrochemicals, they need to be busted. I think this was also discussed quite a lot yesterday evening, and I can suggest that this effort can also come up within the industry. I think government need not be a participant in that, and those myths need to be busted with the production of the evidence. You know, it should not be just a story, but we can produce evidence saying that these are the things which you are saying. It's causing cancer, but it is not. There is no evidence for that. Or something else which you feel that the pesticides are not poisons. So, it's something like this, that if doctor has advised you to take a sleeping pill, instead of taking one pill, you take the whole bottle, then what will be the situation for that person, you know. So the same thing is applicable for the farmers also. And in the farming community, now the situation is also changing. You know, many a times we have educated them, we have told them that this is how the pesticides have to be applied in the field, but many times they are not doing the agricultural activity themselves. They have outsourced it. They have given it to the contract labor. Now it becomes our responsibility to ensure that the training which we have provided to the farmers, that is passed on to the contractual labor also. This is particularly true in the northern belt of India, you know, Punjab, Haryana, etc., wherein a lot of farmers, they have outsourced their activities to the contract laborers. So they also need to be told about the good practices in using the pesticides, etc. So it requires a lot of IEC activities. I'm quite confident that the industry is doing very well in terms of its obligations towards environment and sustainability. So, but still more can be done, and more is expected also by everyone which is present around us. Now, some of the other issues which have been mentioned with respect to the plastic recycling. No, I'll mention this here particularly because even though we are thinking of the alternatives, and we claim that we are having very good recycling rate with respect to PET, but what happens, as mentioned by our friends earlier, that our recycling rate in Asia has been about 23%. I don't know specifically about India as such, holistically speaking, with respect to the plastic. Globally, it is about 19%. Now, what is the problem with the plastic? The problem with the plastic is that everyone sees it with respect to single-use plastic. You know, single-use plastic is a thin plastic. It is seen everywhere, and when it creates problems in the environment, in the municipal corporations, and in the villages, it is seen everywhere. So then there is a perception that plastic is bad. Everyone starts saying, say no to plastics. and instead of saying say no to plastic pollution. I think that should be the way we should be handling plastics. But what happens? Nobody realizes the importance of the plastics, the kind of wide number of uses it is having. So here also we need to change the perception, the image of the plastic. Everyone uses plastics, but he doesn't realize that it is substituting, it is easing their lifestyles, and it is helping them in such a big way. Nobody understands that, but just looking at the single-use plastics, all those pannis, etc., the thin bags which we use in everyday's life, they create the impression as the plastic is bad. Now, the other thing which I must mention with respect to the enabling environment which we are creating, we have two important institutions in the country. One is CPET. CPET, it was earlier poised for the plastics. Now we are moving towards, we have widened its scope of work, and now it will be moving from plastics to petrochemicals. We have recently decided that they should also be acting as a center for testing chemicals also, wherever they are located. There are 40 plus centers all over the country with the headquarters in Chennai. They are active partners with you. I think many of you are active partners with them. This facility is not only providing the industry interface, but also providing the skilling as well as many educational programs like BTech and PhD facilities also. We'd like it to be converted into a center of or institute of national importance. We are working towards that, and this will provide better interface with the industry, and it will also provide more skilled manpower. There is a general shortage, and particularly in the chemical sector. We have discussed this thing earlier also. How do we have more number of manpower in this sector, particularly in this skilled sector, and how do we attract more number of people in chemical sector? We are separately also working on that, and we will be, I have also requested the friends from the industry that they can provide us feedback on that, how we can involve all the educational institutions in the country to ensure that we are able to attract people in the chemical sector. They shouldn't be going just to the IT sector. This is a trend which has been seen in the engineering sector particularly. How we can retain the people there in the chemical and chemistry as such, as well as chemical engineering. Now, we would like to develop this as an institute of national importance, which will attract people, not only for the skills at lower level, but also at the higher level skills. Now, the other area is the industry interface. I think many a times industry, particularly small scale industry, finds it difficult to get that kind of audience from the big institutions like IITs or ICT, etc. They may not be having the resources to interact with the professors or maybe the experts in these academic institutions. So we thought that we'll systematize this whole effort of academia and industry interface, and I'm really very happy to say that Professor Pandit, he has readily agreed to have a systematic interface between the academia and the industry, and also with government. Government also needs a lot of inputs for policy making. Like this is one forum in which we have got a lot of inputs, and earlier also we have been getting through various consultations we have been getting, but we wanted to systematize this whole thing on various sub-segments, various themes. So industry benefits out of it, the academia also benefits out of it, and obviously Government of India and the state governments benefit from this kind of interface. So this is being developed, and your suggestions are welcome. We are still in the early stages of that, but we would like it to happen at the earliest. So friends, these are some of the few things which I thought I must mention within the overall framework of policy enablers to propel growth in the country. Friends, demand and supply analysis has been done in the country with respect to the petrochemical sector, and we find that there is a big gap projected by 2040, and as has been mentioned, we need one one cracker every year for next 25 years or so, but we may not be having that kind of investment which has been planned or announced at this stage. So by 2040, our colleagues from the industry as well as from EIL and IOCL, they had done this analysis, and they find that there will be a big shortfall, and there will be a shortfall of 7 crackers. So there's a kind of shortfall which they have estimated. This includes all the announcements and the proposals which are already there. So there is a big opportunity to work in this sector. We don't have that kind of clarity for 2040, but whatever estimations we have, so there is a big investment opportunity here. Whosoever is willing and whosoever is having the kind of capital which is required for this must invest on this. Government is available to provide you all the support which is required. I'll close my speech here by saying that all my government colleagues who are present here and otherwise also in Delhi, we are all available. The whole ministry is available for any kind of suggestions, ideas, whether you would like to send it in writing, whether you would like to meet us personally. The whole ministry is available and amenable for any ideas, suggestions, and we are here to provide you that kind of enabling environment which is required for the industry to grow. Thank you once again.